Hey, what is going on, everyone? In today's video, I want to show you some tips that can really help out new players in Dune Awakening. Now, we're going to be going a little all over the place because I have a variety of tips to show you, but hopefully you end up finding them useful. And of course, if you do, be sure to drop a like down below to help support the channel. And if there are any tips that I don't cover in this video that helped you out as a new player, definitely drop a comment down below to help somebody else out. But without further ado, let's get into it. So the first tip I just want to explain is actually before you enter a server. I just want to quickly explain how worlds and servers work in Dune Awakening so that you can understand how you can play with your friends. So if we head over to the server list right here, you'll notice in the bottom left, the first thing that you're going to have to choose is your region. So I'm in North America, but they have these different regions here. So you're going to want to make sure that you're in the same region as your friends. Next, you're going to see a list of worlds, and within each world, you will have 20 different servers, or sieges as they call them here. So the next thing you're going to want to make sure is that you're in the same world as your friends. If you're not in the same region and world as your friends, you won't be able to play together, so make sure that those are the exact same. Now within this specific world, so I'm in the world Harmony and I am in the Siege Sandrat here, but I am actually able to join any of these other servers or sieges within this world and play with people there with my same character, with my same inventory. The only difference is you can only claim land in one server. So you can see I have a little house icon here. That means I've claimed land in Siege Sandrat. So if I went to actually join any of these other servers within Harmony, I wouldn't actually be able to claim a base there. And you can see when I click on Sandrat, it says join down here, but if I click on any of these other servers, it will actually say visit. So if I actually click visit here, it will actually have a pop-up that kind of explains what I just mentioned. And then if we click visit, it will actually connect to that siege or that server, and we'll be able to join. Now, when you actually visit a server, you will notice that in the top left, it will say visiting, and it will tell you the siege or server that you're visiting currently. And then if you want to return to your home server, all you have to do is hit escape, and you'll see there's a new button here that says return to home server. Click that. You'll have to wait 30 seconds, and then once you click travel, it will bring you back to your home server. So the important thing here is just to make sure that you're in the same region and the same world as your friends, and that the servers don't really matter unless you want to claim land in the same server that your friend has claimed land in. Now, the next tip is going to be about base building. So you will start the game out in Haga Basin South, but I will say when you build your first base here, do not invest too much in this base, because there's actually going to be a quest once you actually move up into the Eastern Vermilius Gap that actually has you abandon your previous base. Now, once you abandon it, you can drive back and you can reclaim it if you want to, but I would just recommend not investing too much into your original base, and then just keeping in mind that you will have to end up moving to Eastern Vermilius Gap. Now, there is something that you can unlock called a Solido Replicator. Hopefully I'm saying that right. It's under the construction tab in the research section, and this can actually save a blueprint copy of your base. So if you're really attached to that first base you made, you can save it as a blueprint and then place it again. And this is essentially how it works. So I have it in my hands right now. I'm aiming at my base. You click copy building, and now you will have the blueprint of your base. You can only store one of these with this item, so you'll have to forget it if you do want to end up storing maybe another base that you've built. But then you can place this blueprint, and you will have to put the materials back into it. So just keep that in mind. And then if you actually go to your item in your inventory, there will be a preview button just in case you forget maybe exactly what this base looks like, and maybe the ghost building isn't really doing it for you. You can hit Y and you can preview it, and it gives you an idea of what this base looks like. And then you can also rename your base if you would like to as well. So if you want to, you can make a copy of that first base you made and move it up to the next section, but I just recommend not investing too much in that first base you have to make in Haga Basin South. Next, let me show you where you can find a great gun schematic in the early game in Haga Basin South. So you're going to want to head over west of Griffin's Reach Trade Post, which is right here. So just to give you a full look of exactly where I am right here to the west of Griffin's Reach Trade Post. And if I head into the game, you can see that's where the trade post is, just to give you kind of a point of reference. So go directly west there. You'll see this kind of big piece of like salvage metal there. And then what you're going to want to do is climb up or grapple up to this rock here. And you'll see kind of this area you can drop into. So drop down here and then use a melee weapon to break this like membrane here in order to get into Old Griffin's hideaway, I believe this is called. Now, when you're in here, just make sure that you are cautious because there are explosive traps everywhere in here. So I believe there's going to be one right over here. Yes, there is. So just make sure you back up, let them explode, and just avoid that fire. And basically, like right when you enter, you'll notice that there is kind of this light coming through the cavern here, and there's this platform you can jump up on. So I recommend going up here. And then there's going to be another door that you have to get through. Just watch out for those mines. Like I said, slice through here, and you will get the schematic for this great weapon, which is the Way of the Fallen. So once you go back to your base or you're at a trade post, you'll be able to learn this schematic, and this is a really good weapon to have in the early game. Now, another good tip as you progress throughout the game and start to unlock different trade posts is you can actually fly between these trade posts for free. You need to make sure you visited them at least, but the first one is going to be Griffin's Reach trade post, and then you will unlock the Anvil, and then I have another one up here called Pinnacle Station that I can go to as well. So when you're at any of these trade posts, you can head over to this pilot here. They have an ornithopter, I believe, in the background there. And obviously this is before you can build your own ornithopter if you prefer to just do it this way. And you can go talk to them. You can say, I want you to fly me somewhere. Click Haga Basin, and then you can travel between the different trade posts that you have unlocked. Now, another tip, speaking of the pilot, is when you talk to them and you want them to fly you somewhere, you'll notice there are two other options, Arakeen and Harco Village. If you choose any of these, it's actually going to cost you 2,500 Solaris. And when you go there, which we will in a second, there's actually something called the exchange, which is essentially the auction house, allowing you to sell and buy things in the player economy. Now, I believe you can reach these destinations with the ornithopter once you're able to craft it, but I don't currently have one, so I'll have to pay the 2,500 Solaris. But if you have an ornithopter, I believe you can just go there for free. And obviously, this is also still in early access with the early access launch, so there might not be a lot of people using the exchange right now, but as more people get in after the official launch, I'm sure that the exchange will be widely used. So I'm going to pay the 2,500 right here. All right, and here we are. So you can see that there is the exchange right here. So let's head over there. All right, so here is the exchange right here. Once you walk in, you'll go up to one of these stations. There's a bunch of them all around, and I actually don't see anyone selling anything across my server. I'm unsure if the exchanges are server-wide or if they're worldwide, if that makes sense. But you can click on sell here, and I actually do have an extra schematic here that I can sell. So I'm going to just click on this, click sell. You can set your price, how long you want it to be up for. There are exchange fees, so you're going to need to make sure that you have enough banked Solaris here, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second. But I don't know what to put this one up at. I'll just put it at like 2,000 perhaps, and I'll list it for a day. So let me just go ahead and click sell there. And then now this should be in my active orders, which it is, and it will be live for a day. So we'll see if anyone ends up buying that. But if you do need to bank some Solaris, you can head over right near the exchange station, talk to this person here, click deposit, and then you can either deposit all of it or you can deposit a certain amount. So I could just say, I don't know, I'll just throw 300 in there for right now. And now that has been deposited. So that's how you can use the exchange in Dune Awakening. And I imagine it's going to be a lot more active once the full launch happens on the 10th. Another tip is that when you're in your inventory and you're looking at your loadout, you'll notice that there is an option to favorite items within your actual loadout. So what this actually does, which is really useful, especially for me, where I have some of these items bound to my mouse, but I don't have enough buttons on my mouse for everything here, is that for the cut array, for example, you can hit T on it to favorite it. And you can see that there is a little heart that is in the top right. So if I went to the Dew Reaper and I hit T, you can favorite one item out of your loadout. And I'm going to just do that for the cut array again. So now I favorited that. And you'll notice that when I have my gun out, right above my gun, you'll see that there is my cut array icon with the G key. So once you hit the G key twice, it'll actually take out the cut array. And then I can go ahead and use it. I'll get some of this iron here. And then if I tap G again, it'll go back to the item that I had, which actually it just didn't right there. But if I go back to cut array, double tap G again, you'll see it goes back to the gun. So I guess I just waited too long in between. But that is how you can favorite an item so that you can easily just take it out and you don't always have to go through the scroll wheel or try to hit, a number on your keyboard there. If you have an important item like a Dew Reaper or a cut array or whatever you want it to be, blood extractor, you can just double tap G and it will bring out that favorited item. Another tip is that if you have an inventory on your buggy or your sand bike, and like I do right here where I have some iron in this inventory, but let's say this is a full inventory and you don't really want to have to bring everything to your base one by one. You don't have to, so you can leave it in your inventory right there. And if I head into my base and go to a crafting station, so let's just say this small ore refinery, I'm going to go over to the storage tab and you'll notice there is a drop down here for backpack and then also one for sand bike. So I'm actually able to take this iron ore and drop it into the storage of the small ore refinery here without actually having to go and bring things one by one and load up my inventory. So you can access your sand bike and your buggy inventory from these different stations without having to move everything one by one. And then the next tip here is really just a fun one, especially if you're a solo player. It helps just kill the time and just makes you more immersed in the world. If you head to your backpack and then you go to your social tab here, head to the first tab, you'll notice that there is a radio station section and you can actually just toggle on these different radio stations. Some of them have music, some of them have stories that they tell. So if you just click on this little radio icon here, you can't actually click on the text here. You have to click on the little radio icon, but you'll see that it starts playing, and it's just entertaining. This is kind of like some chip tune kind of music. We can switch to this one and you'll hear people talking, and it kind of fades in and out. It's not always happening, but it really does help kind of fill in the gaps when you're exploring and maybe things are just kind of a little quiet in the world. And then you also do have an event log right here as well. So if you want to just kind of see what happened to you, it does log pretty much like everything that goes on in the game. So just make sure you check that event log in case you don't know what ended up happening to you. So kind of two tips in one there, but really the main one is the radio stations. They're just a lot of fun to listen to, so I highly recommend checking them out. And there you have it, folks. Those are some tips for new players. I really hoped it helped you out. These are things that I learned over my first like 10 or 15 hours playing, so hopefully they were useful for you. Also, I want to just shout out, we do have a great Discord community that I always have linked down in the description below. We've got some great Dune resources in there and other Dune players, so feel free to join that down below if you would like to. And if you have any other questions about the game, you can ask it right in there or drop a comment below. Always happy to read those and respond to you guys there. But thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to like and subscribe for more Dune content. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and have a great rest of your day. Take care, folks.